Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're exploring a force so powerful, so deeply ingrained in our human DNA, that it literally shapes the reality we live in. I'm talking about storytelling. In our time together, we're going to uncover exactly how humanity relies on narratives to construct our world. And we'll be looking across completely different eras, cultures, and mediums. Because ultimately, the way we tell stories reveals exactly who we are. Now, you might be wondering, what do medieval sieges, a surreal 1946 French film, and a toddler's board book have in common? Well, on the surface, absolutely nothing. But by the end of this explainer, you'll see exactly how they are intimately and inextricably connected. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap. Think of it like a cultural triptych. We're acting as a curated exhibit with three distinct wings, all unified by one overarching theme. Wing 1, Legends of Warrior Women. Wing 2, Filming a Surrealist Fairy Tale. Wing 3, Books for Youngest Minds. And finally, Part 4, The Power of Stories. Starting off with Section 1, Legends of Warrior Women, Shattering the Damsel Myth. You know, when we actually look at the visceral, blood and mud reality of the Middle Ages, it completely shatters those stereotypical damsel in distress stories we think we know so well. Just taking a look here, the sheer global scope of these badass realities is incredible. In France, you have Joan of Arc, right? A teenage peasant who literally convinced the ruler to hand over an army, and she successfully relieved the besieged city of Orleans in 1429. Over in Japan, there's Tomo Gozen. She was celebrated in the Tale of the Heike as this incredibly strong archer and a samurai warrior said to be worth 1,000 men during the Genpei War. And down in North Africa, the Berber queen Al-Kahina emerged as a leading resistance figure, actually defeating an Arab invasion army in the 680s. These aren't fantasy stories, folks. These are historical facts that totally rewrite our understanding of leadership and warfare. And honestly, true history often provides the most gripping narratives out there. Listen to this account from the Byzantine chronicler Anna Kamena, describing the Norman princess Sicilgaia of Salerno back in 1081. As they continued to run, she grasped a long spear and charged at full gallop against them. It brought them to their senses, and they went back to fight. Wow. She literally rallied fleeing soldiers to victory with an arrow in her chest. That is a visceral reality that completely rewrites medieval combat. But, their power extended way beyond just charging into battle. These women commanded grand strategy, logistics, and sieges. Matilda of Canossa financed and directed military campaigns to defend papal lands for over 40 years. Queen Isabella of Castile totally transformed military administration and rallied troops in full armor. And Aethelflaed constructed a vital network of fortified towns to protect Anglo-Saxon England against Viking armies. So the takeaway here, these weren't just anomalies. They were foundational narratives of women shaping empires. Moving to Section 2, Filming a Surrealist Fairy Tale, Beauty and the Beast, 1946. From the visceral reality of medieval combat, we move to a world where beasts are born of magic and metaphor. Now, Jean Cocteau's film is famous for its surreal opulence. But behind the scenes, the post-World War II reality in France was one of severe rationing. So those sweeping, flamboyant, aristocratic castle costumes that look so incredibly expensive, they were actually pieced together from limited leftover fabric scraps. It's almost unbelievable. That grand wealth was pure storytelling magic, quite literally built from the rubble of war. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer physical dedication required to bring a mythical creature to life on screen. Every single day, it took 3 full hours just to apply actor Jean Marais' facial mask. Then, another hour just to attach individual claws to his hands. Oh, and because hooked teeth were inserted to make him look ferocious, he literally couldn't chew, meaning the fearsome beast had to survive almost entirely on a diet of soup. The storytelling ingenuity here relied so heavily on practical, in-camera movie magic. Did you know to create the illusion of enchanted, self-lighting candles in the hallway, Cocteau just had the actor walk backwards, blowing the candles out, and then played the film in reverse? Genius. To make the castle walls feel alive, actual children's faces were covered in plaster so they blended right into the stone. And rather than a traditional wild boar, the beast's face was modeled after Jean Marais' own real-life Alaskan husky, a dog named Maluk. Cocteau actually opened his film with a written preamble that breaks the fourth wall, and it captures beautifully why we tell stories. Children believe what we tell them. I ask of you a little of this childlike sympathy, and let me speak 4 truly magic words. Once upon a time.
It's just a wonderful invitation to strip away our adult cynicism and return to the very foundation of human imagination.
Which brings us nicely to Section 3, Books for Youngest Minds, where stories begin. So, where do stories actually begin for us? Let's look at the 2014 Bank Street College of Education list of best children's books. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we visually structure and categorize the very first narratives we hand to children. You see a bold B for a board book, which is sturdy and tactile, designed for tiny hands to literally grapple with. And then there's an icon of a figure holding an open book for a read aloud, a story that's meant to be actively performed by an adult to a child. And the themes of these toddler books? They are literally the fundamental building blocks of the complex adult narratives we just explored. They help children explore environments, like counting objects by the sea. They introduce mechanics through the excitement of construction trucks. And absolutely crucially, they help children navigate big, overwhelming emotions, like the frustration of learning to share mom with a new sibling or figuring out how to deal with a bully. Exploration, industry, conflict, it's the exact same stuff we saw in medieval warfare and cinematic epics. Finally, Section 4, The Power of Stories, Connecting the Eras. So, the crucial point is, we have walked through the battlefield, we've gone behind the scenes on a movie set, and we visited the nursery. Whether it's a history book documenting the incredible tactical brilliance of Isabella of Castile, a film script bringing a magical beast to life using leftover fabric scraps, or a board book teaching a toddler how to process big feelings, humans are fundamentally shaped by the narratives we consume. Stories are basically the software that programs our minds. They teach us what's possible, and they teach us how to survive. The media we take in every single day isn't just passive entertainment, guys. It is the raw material we use to build our entire worldview. From medieval shield maidens completely defying expectations, to surrealist beasts born out of artistic struggle, right down to the bedtime trucks that teach us how the world works. So, I'll leave you with this. What story will you let shape you today?